Hello everyone, welcome to Code with Cougar. In this video we're going to talk about some of the most important string methods in Python. Suppose we have a string object and the reference is stored in s variable. This is our object or a string Cougar. And if we want to print the s, so it will basically print the Code with Cougar string. Easy peasy. So the first function we talk about is the upper function. It basically converts a string into uppercase s dot upper. It basically converts all the letters into uppercase letters. If we save our file and print, we can see that no change happened and it was not converted to uppercase letters. Remember that strings in Python are immutable. We cannot change or bring changes to our original object or a string, but instead any function or any method in a string or any method of a string will return a new reference or a new object without changing the original object. So basically this function returns a new object with changes where we can store to a new variable or the same variable. We can store the reference suppose to s2. s2 is equal to s.upper. So if we print s2, we can see that s2 is a new object and with the changes brought to the original object. So all the letters are changed to the uppercase. And if we wanted to double check, we can print the ID of s, and let's print the ID of s dot upper, suppose. So basically this object and this object are not the same. These are the two different objects. That's why the strings are immutable in Python and we cannot bring changes to this object. Any function in Python, any function of the string in Python will return a new reference to a new object created with changes. We can see that these are the reference to different two objects. Let's delete this. Let's delete this one. The next important function in a string is the replace method. Suppose we want to replace a portion of our string or a letter or a character of our string with something else. We can use the replace method s.replace of suppose we want to replace code. So the thing, any portion or any string or any character that we want to replace, we pass it as our first argument and the second argument is going to be the string or the character that we want to replace with. Suppose we want to replace code with Python. So if we print that, so it will, instead of printing code with Cougar, it will print Python with Cougar. The next important function is the isLower function or method in Python string. It returns true if all the characters in a string is lowercase, otherwise it will return false. So s.isLower, it will basically return false since we have uppercase letters in our string. So it should return false. Suppose we have a new string s equal to code. So right now s is all lowercase, so this function should return true. It returns true. Let's clear our screen. Sorry. So the next same case with lower we have is upper. Print is upper. It will return true if all the letters in a string are uppercase letters, otherwise it will return false. Since in this case all the letters in our string s is lower letter, it should return false. Let's save our file and run it. It returns false. Suppose we have our code as all uppercase code, it should return true. Yep. So the next method is the sDigit method. It returns true if all the characters in a string are digits. So let's comment out this line of code. Print s digit or s decimal, whatever method you're going to use. So s digit is going to return true if all the characters in a string is or digits. So since in this case there is no digit or all the characters are not no digit, it should return false. It returns false. Suppose if we reassign the s to a new string that are all the characters are digit, it should return true now. So the next method we're going to talk about is the Identifier method. Print s identifier. So it will return true if all the characters in the string are identifier, or if the string is an identifier string. Otherwise it will return false. So what is an identifier string? A string that contains alphabets A to Z, numbers 0 to 9, and underscore. It is called an identifier string. And if a string contains special characters such as such as hash or at or whatever special character, that wouldn't be an identifier string. So since this is an identifier, it will return true. As long as we add a special character, it is no longer an identifier string. So if we add number or underscore, it should be fine, since underscore and numbers are part of identifier characters. Perfect. So the next method is the find method. The find method basically searches for a specific value and return the position of the value where it was found. Suppose we want to find s.find, we want to find code. So basically the starting value where the code is in our string is 0, so it will return 0 since code is positioned in 0th index in our string. Let's save our file. Yep. Suppose we want to find E, so it will return the index value of E in our string. E is located in index 3 or position 3. Or suppose we want to find the location of underscore in our string, since it is the last one, so it's gonna return 17. The next method is the isalpha method in Python. So the isalpha returns true if all characters in a string are alphabet. Print is.isalpha. It returns true since it returns false since all the characters in our string are not alphabet. It contains digit and underscore. It should return false. Let's save our file. It returns false. If we remove the underscore and the numbers, it should return true, since right now all the characters in our string are alphabets. So the next method that we are going to talk about is the count method. So the count method basically returns the number of times a specific value occurs in our string. Suppose we want to know how many times the letter E happens or comes in our string. Print is.count of letter E, or any string we want. It says E occurs only once. Suppose we add some E here, it should return 4 now. Or suppose we want to count how many code has happened or comes in our string. We have only one code string in our string. So the next method is the endswith method. It returns true if a string ends with a specific value, otherwise it will return false. Suppose we want to print, let's clear these letters, print s.endswith. We can pass a character or a string. Suppose we want to check if our string ends with AR, it returns true. Or if we want to check only if our string returns with R, it returns true. Suppose we check if our string returns with our E. It returns false. The next method we're going to talk about is the capitalized method. It's going to convert the first character to uppercase. Suppose we have, let's define another string, code with Cougar. So this basically converts the first letter to uppercase. Print S. We can see that it's all lowercase, and if we give s dot capitalize, it's gonna convert the first letter to uppercase. We can see that C is converted to capital C. The next method we are going to talk about is the casefold method. Basically, the casefold method converts a string into lower cases. Print s dot casefold. Let's clear this string. We can see that all uppercase letters are converted to lowercase, or we can use the lower method. Lower. So these are both are going to do the same job. It will convert all the uppercase letters in a string to lowercase. Yep. Code with Cougar, code with Cougar. So that was all about some of the most important methods in a string in Python. So hope you guys learned something. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next video.